Okay, hi everybody. Boom, in fact, of course, because this is going to be on my second channel. And I'm recording this just before I record a video for my main channel, which is going to be on PZ Myers. I'll discuss that at the end of this, and also the video that's likely to come after that, which some of you may find interesting. But I wanted to record this as well, because this is something that I noticed on BBC News today, and I think it's an interesting conundrum with the way that we tackle sort of harassment claims and all this kind of thing, and the idea that discrimination is rife within our organisations. And it was on the BBC News today, and it was entitled "MOD Announces Measures to Tackle Unacceptable Discrimination." And they talked about the number of complaints made by different groups. And this is the one that caught my eye. Black, Asian, minority, ethnic personnel also made, because they'd mentioned about women making a disproportionate number of complaints. BAME personnel also made a disproportionate number of complaints. They make up 8% of the regular armed forces, but lodged 11% of complaints about bullying, harassment and discrimination. Now, this kind of tacks onto something that I saw the other year with regard to diversity within the BBC and broadcasters in the UK, where often we're getting down to quite small things. There it was like sort of just 1% out. If it was 1% out, underrepresentation, then that was still a huge problem. It seems to be getting into these grounds now where often what were huge differences in percentages are now quite small, but we're still fretting over that. And I think that becomes a bit of a problem. I mean, talking about that from 8% to 11%, that probably means you're something like 25% more likely or 30% more likely if you're in that group to make one of those complaints than if you're not in that group. I think that's about how it would work out. Something like that. So it is significant, but with percentages like that, it doesn't take a great deal to have shifted the 8 up to 9 and the 11 down to 10, does it? So I'm not quite sure. The issue that I have with that is that I don't know what the situation is in the army, but it seems that we're setting up a bit of a paradox sometimes, I propose, which is what we do is, or what employers do is they perceive that there are problems, that there are these certain groups that are experiencing problems in the workforce, and they want those groups to bring it to the management's attention. That's what they want, so that they can tackle it and get to the root cause and unearth all the inequalities and the racism and the sexism and the bigotry and all this kind of stuff. So they encourage them to make these complaints. The problem is, that's very worthy, but then if you judge whether or not you have a problem based on the number of complaints, I think that becomes a bit of an issue. You're making a kind of self-fulfilling prophecy. You're making an issue even if there wasn't an issue, I propose. I mean, I'm in a workforce that is predominantly white male in the fire service, of course. And I'm not going to cast any aspersions with regard to the people that run the fire service that I work for. But what I will say is the kind of perspective that people have, generally, white males have, is that, for example, if we were to bring the same complaint as a female member of staff would, on the grounds of, oh, this person said this to me or that to me and I'm offended by it and it's making me feel uncomfortable, that it wouldn't be treated with quite the same degree of urgency and seriousness, and there may be more of an inclination to tell us to just pull ourselves together and stop making a fuss about nothing than if it was a member of the opposite sex or from a minority ethnic group or something like that. Now, that is the perception. It might not be the truth. I don't know that. There's nothing to go on because I know of no examples of any sort of white male that's made that claim that's sort of known of in my organisation. But that is the perception. That is probably a waste of time doing it because they're not going to take it seriously. Now, the point isn't whether that is factually based or not. The point is, all you need is that perception in people's heads. What's the point? This complaint process isn't really for me. I won't be taken seriously. I'm expected to just sort of take it on the chin a little bit more than some other group. And then immediately you've got two things going on. You've got one group that is being targeted. Please make complaints if there's any bullying going on, if any of this is going on, please bring it to our attention. And another group that feels that that system isn't really intended for them, and if something does happen to them, that they've just got to suck it up a little bit more. I think you can see the issue here. You've contrived a situation where even if there is no difference, you've got one group that is being actively encouraged to make claims and another group that would feel disinclined to make a claim, perhaps in some situations where they maybe should be making a complaint. And that is bound to be reflected in the statistics. And fine, if you have a group like we have here with women, 23% of complaints about discrimination were made by women, even though they make up just 12% of the regular armed forces. Well, we're talking about bigger numbers here. And also what it's saying is that women are making complaints at about twice the rate. So that is quite significant. So you can perceive that even with those biases that I talked about that you have engineered into the system, that even if you were to take that out and make everybody equally likely to make a complaint under the same set of circumstances, that there is still going to be a residual factor here. There is still probably discrimination and sexism there. But when you're getting down to sort of a 20%, 30% reporting rate for complaints, I think you really do also have to look at what effect you are having on that by the policies, the well-intentioned policies that you are putting out, and not just taking it at face value. Okay, that was all I wanted to say about that. It was just an interesting thought, and I thought while I've got the camera running, I just get that out there. I'm making a video today about PZ Myers, which will be out in the next few days, who is whining recently about the fact that he doesn't get invited to atheist conferences anymore, and puts that down to the fact that they're all a bunch of rabid right-wingers, and that's why they don't want to invite him, which I found kind of amusing. So I'm going to go through in this video all the possibilities that either they are all rabid right-wingers, that he's so far gone to the left that everybody looks like a right-winger to him, or it's just the simple fact that he's a twat. And discuss those three possibilities there. And then the video that I'm going to make after that I've been prepping for, it's a little bit more convoluted, there's a little bit more work for it, is a video going back to the trans women in sport thing, because Sargon of Akkad had a debate with a guy whose name, I haven't got it up here, Brenton something or other, I think. And it wasn't the best of debates, I've got to say. In terms of the arguments or getting anywhere or staying on topic or anything. It was a bit of a mess, but it was quite a good debate from my perspective, because both of them managed at some point in the debate to make, between the two of them, almost every bad argument that you can make with regards to that discussion. So that's going to be a useful one. I'm going to go back through it again, or at least the first hour of it, because then it just went totally off topic for the last for most of the rest of it, and pick out those different bits, those different bad arguments effectively, and counter them. I don't like to use the word debunked because it suggests something slightly smug about it. I want to counter them and show why I consider them, and I'm not the only one, but why I consider them to be particularly ill-conceived arguments. Okay, so you can look out for that. That's the end of this. Thank you for watching, and bye for now. Where's my cursor gone? Okay, bye for now.